A lot of people have heard the term your network is your net worth. To a degree, that's true. To the other degree, it's the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Necessarily a lot of evidence, but are, I would say, spiritually correct. I was having a conversation with Dean Graziosi, who has become a very, very close friend of mine. And so one of the things that he told me early on in our relationship, which really, really gave me a lot of pause, was the cost of his dreams. And so I asked him earlier on, and it was about 18 months ago before Layla and I decided to build kind of our personal brands, etc., about, the cost of fame. And he said, yeah, I've got people who show up at my house and people who leave weird, mean comments. And he's like, all the time. The thing is that is a price I'm willing to pay to make the impact that I want to make with my life. When he said that, it really struck me, because to me, it was in a lot of ways, selfish to kind of not spread the message out of fear of what it would cost me. It is a price that he was willing to pay. And he had said that he recently had lost one of his last friends, the last friend that he had from kind of his childhood. And I think that there's a lot of people who are like, never forget where you come from and the people who supported you, etc. And I think that's true. But I think for the vast majority of us, a lot of people don't support us on our way up. At least it felt that way for me. What's interesting is that a lot of people will root for you until you do better than them and they stop rooting for you. And I'm not saying that the people that I'm talking about were like that, but it's just, that was like the first wave of friends that I lost. And it was just because they didn't actually want to see me win. We have these people that we collect, throughout our lives, and sometimes they come in, you've probably heard the saying, they're here for a season, a reason, or a lifetime. And I think, for me, a lot of people have been seasonal. And so I wanted to share that because I know that I'm sure some of you have had a similar path to me, in that I didn't have a tremendous amount of support from my parents. I think they now retroactively think they supported me because it's much easier that way. I think friends fell in that same category. As we, ascend towards our goals and our vision and our mission in our lives become clear, it also becomes clear when you have contrast with people from your past. So a parent, for example, is willing to wait a very long time for a positive exchange from a child coming back to them, right? Now, and some people could make the argument that, children are a gift throughout that entire period of time, and that's awesome, and that's a perspective, whatever. But just to use the time frame as a nice thinking process, if you just met someone, if you don't feel like there's, a huge benefit to knowing them, within the immediate future, you probably don't really pursue them out. And the longer you have had positive exchanges, the longer you are willing to wait for the next one, right? It's intermittent reinforcement from a behavior standpoint, right? Like we are literally reinforced in this relationship. And the way that addiction works is the same thing, right? Like you immediately get positive hits, and then you can start extending how long before you get another positive hit, which is also how abusive relationships work. The point of me breaking this down is that I have lost a lot of the friends, or almost all of the friends that I had when I started my journey. And the upside is people will come into your life to fill the vacuum that the other people left. But sometimes it doesn't happen immediately. And I think getting comfortable with having space is a good thing. And a lot of people have the impulse or urge to always have people around them, and I think it's to their own detriment. Because I think if you can spend time alone with your thoughts and be okay with just being you without other people, then you are more selective. And it's the same way with dating. Some people can't be alone. Some people can't be without a significant other. And so they just end up shacking up with the first person they see after they become single again, right? And it's because they have a fear of being alone more than they have an aligned mission with someone that they think that this person is really the best pick. If you have lost friends during the process of the climb, I don't think it is something that you should lament or be upset about. I think that it is a sign of growth, because a lot of people say, hey, you've changed. And the only natural response that I can have to that is, you haven't. And I think that that's kind of sums up the entirety of this video, which is, if you grow, you change. Some people, most people, don't like change, especially if they themselves have not grown or changed, and or if they have grown in a different direction from you. And it is natural for us to not want to continue relationships with people that have grown or have values that are too far in contrast to our own. And those values can change over time. And that's okay. That's okay. And is this price something that I'm willing to pay? And for me, it's a resounding yes. I would be far more sad that I had not realized my potential or what I hope to accomplish in my life in exchange for relationships that I sacrificed my dreams in order to maintain. Now, That being said, it almost appears as though I'm sacrificing all relationships in order to have the dream, and that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that you will sacrifice old relationships and you will create room for new ones. Yes, we grow. And unless the friends you have are growing with you and are pushing you to grow, then they are probably not friends who will stay with you for the long haul. And so for me, I'll leave with this kind of last thing that I think about for the people that I want to be friends with. I want friends who root for me behind my back. And that is rare. Most people do not root for you behind your back. It is sad that there are more strangers on the internet who root for me than people who knew me from back home. And it's because we had a shared context at home, and the discrepancy between where you are and where they are over time, they personalize the fact that they are not with you because they had the same resources at the same beginning. And so you're in a different place as a result of your own decisions. And so as a result, they feel bad and they don't like that. And you're a reminder of that. Picking friends who are people who are further ahead of you doesn't have to be financially. It can be in marriage, it can be physically, it can be whatever. And then the hope is that you are better in some ways than they are. And then they can grow from you in that way. And in that way, you both get better.